After everything that happened, I thought starting over would be simple. You lose everything, you hit rock bottom, and then you just rebuild. That's what people say, right? They make it sound like some heroic journey, but no one tells you how damn lonely it feels. No one warns you about waking up in the middle of the night, your chest tight, wondering if any of it will ever make sense again. I moved into a small apartment on the edge of town. It was cheap, quiet, and anonymous, just the way I wanted it. No one knew me there. I could disappear, and nobody would notice. I told myself that was freedom, but deep down, it felt like exile. Every day looked the same. I'd wake up, make coffee, scroll through job listings I didn't care about, then stare at the wall, thinking about how everything I'd built just vanished. The betrayal, the night I almost died, the job I lost, they replayed in my head like a movie stuck on repeat. Sometimes I'd walk down to the river and just stand there for hours, watching the current move, wondering if it ever got tired of carrying everyone's stories. I wanted to believe there was still something waiting for me, but the silence around me felt heavier than hope. One evening, I decided to take a walk farther than usual. The city lights faded behind me, and the streets grew quiet. That's when I saw her, sitting alone on a bench under a flickering streetlight, sketching something in a notebook. She looked up and smiled like she'd been expecting me. I don't know why, but I smiled back. We talked. Her name was Emily. She was an artist, or at least trying to be one. She'd moved to the city chasing a dream, and somewhere along the way, life had started chasing her instead. She told me about her failed exhibitions, her empty bank account, the nights she wanted to give up. I listened, and for the first time in a long while, someone's pain didn't make me feel smaller, it made me feel human again. We started meeting often, sometimes intentionally, sometimes by chance. Coffee shops, park benches, late-night walks. There was something about her that calmed me, maybe because she didn't try to fix me. She didn't ask what happened. She just existed next to me, and somehow, that was enough. One night, she asked, "Do you ever think about what would have happened if everything had gone right?" I thought about it for a long time before answering. "I used to," I said, "but now I think maybe it was supposed to go wrong." She laughed softly. That kind of laugh that sounds like both pain and acceptance. "Maybe that's the only way we learn anything real," she said. Weeks turned into months. I found small jobs here and there, fixing things, helping out in local shops, doing whatever I could to stay busy. Money wasn't much, but it was something. I even started writing again, not for anyone, just for myself. Words felt like the only place where I still had control. But life, as always, doesn't give you peace for long. One morning, I got a call. It was Emily. Her voice was shaking. She'd been diagnosed with something serious. I went to the hospital, and when I saw her lying there, pale and fragile, I felt that old fear crawl back into my chest. The fear of losing everything all over again. She smiled at me and said, "Don't look at me like that. I'm still here." But I could see the truth in her eyes. She was scared too. We spent hours talking, sometimes about nothing, sometimes about everything. And when visiting hours ended, I didn't want to leave. For weeks, I was by her side every day. I brought her food, flowers, sometimes just silence. We didn't need words anymore. There's something about being near someone who's fighting for their life. It strips away all the bullshit. You stop caring about success, about plans, about what people think. All that matters is the moment you have right now. Then one day, she told me to go back to my life, to keep moving forward, to stop waiting in hospitals for people who might not make it. I refused. I told her, "You don't get to tell me what to do." "Not this time." She smiled, that same smile from the night we met, and said, "Then promise me one thing. If I'm gone, don't disappear again." She didn't make it through the winter. I remember the day they called me. I sat there for hours, holding my phone, waiting for the world to make sense again. But it didn't. It never does. For days I did nothing. I didn't eat, didn't sleep. I just walked, through streets we'd walked together, past cafes we used to sit in, through the park where we first met. Everything reminded me of her. But somewhere in that pain, I started to feel something new. It wasn't peace. It wasn't acceptance. It was purpose. Emily once told me, "Art is just pain that learned how to breathe." Maybe that's what I had to do. Let my pain breathe. So I started writing about her, about me, about everything I'd lost and found. I didn't care if anyone read it, but somehow, people did. My words started spreading online, shared by strangers who saw their own pain in mine. And slowly, I began to heal. Not in a cinematic way, no big moment, no epiphany. Just quiet mornings that didn't hurt as much, nights that weren't as long. I started teaching writing at a community center, helping others tell their stories. And every time someone said, thank you, I thought I was alone. I felt like Emily was still here, somewhere between the words. Now, years later, when I walk past that same river, I think about everything that's happened. The betrayal, the accident, the job loss, Emily, all of it. And I realize something. Maybe life isn't about finding happiness. Maybe it's about learning how to carry sadness without letting it destroy you. People always talk about moving on, but maybe we don't move on. Maybe we move with. We carry the pain, the memories, the love, and we keep going. Not despite them, but because of them. Sometimes I still sit by the water at night, the city lights reflecting on the surface. I close my eyes and imagine she's sitting next to me again, sketching something in her notebook. And in that silence, I hear her voice, soft and familiar. Keep going. So I do. Because maybe, after losing everything, the only real thing left to do is to live.